afternoon, good evening, good morning, whatever the case may be. Gosh, I love that background music. Love it. I should maybe just use that every time, but sometimes, it's not that dramatic of a day. But hey, Aaron Alfecci, you got here first. Congratulations. What's up, Brett Seagraves and Andrew J and WK? Hope you are all having a beautiful, beautiful Saturday in whatever stretch of the world you live. Yeah, that's right. A notification. Is this a sign of the end times? Oh, I certainly hope not. Notifications are going out. Only 9 people are in here so far. Started streaming 73 seconds ago. You guys know I just noticed that there's a little thing right at the bottom that says exactly how long you've been on, and it updates like every 15, 20, 30 seconds, something like that. So interesting. So at any rate, boy, that was a fun stream last night, huh? It was a fun stream. It's been a fun, interesting week of streaming this week. This week at Blacklist Universe. Including the very, very interesting the EVS and Doug stuff. It's so, I hate to reiterate the word interesting. It's so interesting though that you can have such a myriad of opinions. People can watch. It's just like what I was saying about people having each having their own perspective, and in these situations and in these arguments, and why I thought I should bring in my perspective. No individual person's truth is the whole story, right? So if you're just always listening to Ethan, or you're just always listening to Doug, or you're just always listening to me, you're only going to get our perspective. And it's intriguing. I want to say interesting again. Let's not talk about religion no more. Just comics. Oh, we are going to be talking about religion. Today's Chinese Genesis, which is Genesis in the Bible. But I want to... This is more just about perspective, because reading all the comments, it's amazing people can watch the exact same thing, which is not it's the perspective is what is on the screen, and just have vastly different opinions, and it's because of their perspectives. And I just think that's very I don't know, enlightening. Maybe not enlightening. It's just something that people should keep in mind when they are communicating with other people, so that you don't get so stifled in your point of view that you're unwilling to understand that other people have other opinions, other perspectives, right? And this is much broader, a much broader scope of application than some stupid Comicsgate drama. That's my point. I'm not trying to drag this back into that. I'm just saying how reading through the hundreds, well, maybe not hundreds, a couple hundred comments I got on those videos. That's what stuck out to me. It wasn't who was for who or who agreed with what. It was just that there were such vastly different views on the same information. Very interesting. WK says opinions are like belly buttons. Everyone has one. Correct. WK. Correct. And don't I don't know. Don't get so down on certain people for having their own. Sorry, I'm trying to adjust this. I just got a ding. I wonder if that means I did send out. No, no one seems available to join me for cross-examinations this morning. Oh, hey, we have a sponsor. I can't remember the name. We have a sponsor for this episode. It is Golden Road Brewing, and they're sponsoring us with 2020 IPA. Have a cold 2020. It's totally worth it. Thank you, Golden Road 2020 IPA. A little troll. At any rate, boy, lots of comments on yesterday's show. Lots of comments on yesterday's show. Let me pop this one out. So that I can keep this on the side and then go back. Is EVS angry with you after your critique of Doug and EVS? Well, he asked me. I hope it's worth it, Mike. So I'm going to take that as a yes. And I don't care. I honestly don't care. Seems like nobody got that troll, but that's fine. I'm sure someone will screenshot it and put it on Twitter and start a whole thing. Anyways, Blacklist, Aftermath, and Mexican Persecution, yesterday's show. Here are the comments. Bricht, BR1CHT, says, looks like EVS, to my sorrow, thinks that he owns you if he helps you. Yeah. I don't know. I don't want to delve all into that. I'll tell you what, though. I was watching Getty. Was it Getty? I think it's Getty. Last night. And it kind of reminded me of this situation where he's sitting at the head of the table. And everyone around him is sycophantically vying to be the one who loves him the most. And all of his children have become spoiled, drug addicted, or just, whatever. And unfortunately, it did remind me of this whole situation. Because you have guys, I'm not going to name anybody, but I mean, it's patently obvious, who will sit there and say, yes, no, I mean, yes, sir, whatever you say, ha, 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 I'll laugh at your jokes, because otherwise, hey, it's going to be a cold 2020 if you're not on Ethan's show. And I don't know. I want people to be on my show because they genuinely like hanging out with me, not because they think they're gonna make thousands and thousands of dollars being promoted on my show. I'm not saying that people don't genuinely like Ethan. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying it's gosh, how can you tell? At that point, how can you tell? And I have to feel for Ethan in that case, because how can he tell when somebody really likes him or somebody just wants to be on their show because it's a golden ladder. Yeah. Perspective, man. Perspective. Slick Rick says, well, stabbing someone in the back after they've helped you is bad form. It's ungrateful. Well, disagreeing with someone, regardless of if they've helped you, is just being honest. WK said, I get all Blacklist universe notifications except cross-examinations. Those are 1 out of 10. Really? Maybe I should stop labeling it cross-examinations until after it goes live, and then I can change it. Work in Progress said, it was Doug. I know it was Doug. He reached out to you because you also said he did live. I love you and Doug, by the way. What was... Okay, I just don't understand that. What was Doug? I don't know that. I don't understand that. Work in progress, if you're here, explain what was Doug. Peter Sharon says, missed this earlier. Had to watch on replay. Have a great weekend, Mike. You have a great weekend, Peter Sharon. Don't tell me what to do. All right. Work in progress. Oh, responds again. A great program that helps people with relationship problems is called The Marriage Encounter. And it has nothing to do with what happened, but everything to do with empathizing. Interesting. Cheyenne says first comment and then says, I like your background with the planets. My pastor did a sermon on the sounds the planets make. They actually have their own sounds and make a music of their own. Sorry if I'm off track, though that tidbit might interest you. I think EVS' biggest problem is pride, so maybe he took your tweet personally. I think he needs to get he's not always right. Yeah, I mean, everyone, I get that complaint to me as well. Oh, Mike, you think you're always right. Everyone thinks they're always right. Right? I mean, it's not just me, it's not just Ethan and Doug. Everyone thinks they're always right until they're proven wrong. Because if you didn't think you were right about whatever you were thinking you were right about, you wouldn't think that thing. It's something freaking going in my eyelash or something. Right? I'm right about that. If you didn't think you were right about something, you would think something else that you thought was right. Now, being willing to understand that what you think may be wrong, but you still think it's right until you think it's possible that it's wrong, and then you move into the category of, well, if this is not right, what is right? And then you seek out that which is right, and then that's what you think. Zach Bradley says, well, I always assume I am wrong until my wife says I am right. Sounds about right, but we all do that. He always makes a point to bring it up, though. Oh, that he's always right? I'm always right, too. Until I'm wrong. Always right until I'm wrong, and then I'm right again. Right? Wrong? Wrong. Right. Right. All right. Oh, hey, hit that like and hit that share, ladies and joims. Ladies and joims. I'm doing that myself right now. And we're live. Tweeting it out. Please tweet it out. Or Facebook it out or whatever. Oh, yeah, let me go over to Facebook and see if there's anybody watching there I need to say hello to. I have so many tabs open. This is ridiculous. All right, I'm going to change this one to Facebook. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10, 15. I have over 20 tabs open on this one window. Probably slowing my computer down a little bit. Oh, by the way, for those who were watching... Oh, Cruzy. Just saw a picture of my late nephew. I'm going to share it. I'll do it later. Yeah, this is totally chugging up my computer. Alright, I'm not going to be checking. Hope the shirt of the day has passed the sniff test. It's okay right now. But I just wore this to sleep. It's my Meg shirt. Meg! And I'll be changing it in a bit anyway, so. Victor says maybe EVS blew it out of proportion, traumatized for what happened already with Marvel and DC, but this is Comicsgate. We don't turn like that except for war campaign disrespect. Shout out to tortas. I love tortas. Tortas, very good. Very good. Okay. Messi Cruz. Post. Alright. And Captain Hild says, I disagree when it comes to Ethan. I think he knows he is wrong, but does not want to admit it because it will impact his brand and financial aspirations. I feel like I need to blow my nose. Hold on a second. Let me mute this. Unmute myself. When you like blow your nose and then suddenly all the smells come in because like whatever it was. Anyways, hi Mike. Do you believe in a Jewish conspiracy? Which Jewish? What? I need more specifics than a Jewish conspiracy. Honestly, I think that that will CG drama is hot. It also has about killed us all. Yeah. It is in an odd sense, and you'll hardly ever hear me say this. Nasser was right. Feeding nonstop drama. That's not good for long-term, community. It's destructive to long-term community. Yeah, unfortunately, it is fun. It gets clicks. It can build audiences temporarily. But it also creates very divisive communities, right? Whereby you say or do the wrong thing, or you disagree, or you agree with the wrong person, and you get ridiculous, dramatic backlash. So, while on the one hand, Malin is right, also something you will rarely hear me say, Malin was right, that drama does drive views and all that stuff. Nasser, oddly, also right. So, again, it's like a perspective thing. It all comes back to perspective, right? So the truth is somewhere in between John Malin and Nasser. And I think if the two sat down and had a beer, had an ice cold 2020 IPA. Have a cold 2020. It's totally worth it. If they just sat down and had a cold 2020 together, then they could have avoided the dramatic shout fest and the destruction of their relationship, because I don't think they've talked since then. Jay says, I just want to buy great comics. I don't care for the drama. Right. Yeah, but is that what Jesus would want? For people to sit down together and communicate rather than... I'm sorry, Jay. I'm missing what you're responding to me. Doug is not non-stop drama unless it's his brand at risk. Anyone else's, then he couldn't care less. No, the constant drama. Oh, right. Yeah, the constant drama. See, yeah, no. I don't think it's what Jesus would want, Jay Hamilton. I don't think it is. It's... and you can have honest disagreements. And yeah, you can, when you have a disagreement with somebody. I mean, Jesus tells us how to deal with this stuff. Unfortunately, we're not all Christians in this space. I'm not going to call it Comicsgate anymore because I'm not Comicsgate. But, in our little community, we're not all Christians. And we certainly don't all abide Jesus's rules about how to treat one another when we disagree. In the Jesus rule book we call the Bible, when you disagree with your brother, you pull them to the side and privately tell them why you disagree. And then if they don't listen, you bring 2 or 3 other people to try to convince them they are wrong. If they refuse to face that they are wrong at that point, then you take it before the church. But no. If you disagree with someone and the first thing you do is take it to the church, this causes resentment and bitterness, and you have lost the ability to rebuild. Well, no, I'm not going to say you've lost the ability to rebuild, but you're just digging a hole for yourself. And if you're doing it for clicks, then you're doing it, or whatever your motivation is, it's not the right thing. Withheld says, I'm a Christian but embarrassed about it, and this drama is making it worse a little. Why would you be embarrassed to be friends with the creator of the universe, Withheld? To love the God of creation. Why is that embarrassing? You need to think about that. You need to put God for. Gosh, this is driving me nuts. The cross on the cross examinations shouldn't be. I know, I'm so anal retentive. It's driving me bananas. Because the S, you see how the S is lining up? It's creating a tangent. Hold on, I gotta fix it. Alright, there we go. Squirrel? Sorry. Unrelated says, there should be some side-by-side comparisons of current year Marvel DC stuff and some CG stuff. And that's not my shtick. Someone should though. Yeah, someone should definitely do. Hey man, you could start a channel. Oh, maybe Edwin. Or somebody could just start. One of you guys start a channel and start doing that. You can do, rather than just doing reviews. You could do comparisons. That'd be sort of a versus mainstream versus independent comics. Yeah, do that. That'd be a great channel. I'd watch that. Unrelated, do it. I don't know that I've ever associated comic books with my religion internally. Withheld said, because it apparently makes me less smart and crazy, according to atheists. Atheists believe that everything came from random, meaningless chance. Withheld. Why would you give their opinions any credence? They think all the design in the universe is accidental. And you give them the weight of what exactly? You give their opinions more weight than the God of the universe? That makes no sense to me. Slick Rick says, I'm not religious, but I'm not arrogant enough to believe I'm right all the time. Nobody knows what happens after you die. Nobody. Jesus does. Jesus does, Slick Rick. He was there. Actually, that's kind of what led me down the road to actually just studying about the Bible. Was I got into near-death experiences. I used to be into, because I was an agnostic, so I didn't have any real beliefs about stuff. I was always interested in things like UFOs and paranormal stuff, and I got into near-death experiences and reading up about those, and it was like, wow, that's there's a lot of consistency here. And that kind of led me down the road to prayer, frankly, praying for the first time. In earnest, anyways. Well, maybe the second time. Buffering. And, getting a red dot. Back to green, yellow, green. And then that's what led me to studying about the veracity of the Bible and the claims of the Bible, and to see if those claims hold water. And it was discovering that those claims did hold water that got me to the point that I accepted it as the Word of God. At which point I accepted Jesus. At which point I started actually reading the Bible and conforming my life to what the Bible says, rather than to the do whatever I want to do that I grew up with. See, I grew up agnostic. And even though my dad tried to teach me to follow rules and be right and or be good, blah, 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 all that stuff, I was intelligent enough to boil that down, because if you're agnostic or you're atheist and you have no side is right, and so I boiled my morality down to two things: be true to myself, which in its essence was do not lie, and don't get caught. If you're going to do something that the rest of the world would deem as wrong, then as long as you don't get caught doing it, it's not wrong. And really, that's, I mean, I still to this day, as a Bible-believing Christian, I think that was still the practical truth about not believing in an objective truth. And you can try to obfuscate that with, well, society has rules and this has rules and blah, blah, blah. It's all relative. It all becomes relative. Do as you will. Do as you will. If you don't believe in God, then what's to stop you from doing whatever you want as long as you don't get caught? I'm not suggesting it. I'm just saying that ends up being the moral reality of rejecting an objective truth. Accidental, like the ink splotches in your room. Yeah, I wouldn't call that art. Now you might have, that's kind of the leftist the degradation of order and objective beauty. Any sort of objectivity is, I think, under attack by the left, and has been for a very long time, because you take what is objectively beautiful, built on talent and skill and effort, versus somebody spills a cup of paint $1 million, while the objectively beautiful and skillful piece of art sells for a couple $100. I would hope that no one who is conservative or libertarian or rational would ever spend that kind of money on that kind of garbage. But it is what it is. E. Michael for $1.99 says, I'm a good dude, God bless. I'm not a good dude. I'm a bad dude trying to stop from doing my bad stuff. So everyone's talking to Captain Hiltz. Did you test your theories, Mike? Ooh, be more specific. Oh, you mean when I was an agnostic? Indeed I did. Indeed I did. Mike, do you think EVS overreacted because of the past experience of dealing with SJWs, and it was no big deal? It's not something that would have made me overreact. I never would have done what he did to anyone. But again, we're not all Christians. And Ethan can say he's a Christian all day long, but he doesn't. I don't know. Ethan said he was a Mormon. Ethan said he was an atheist. I never even know what Ethan actually believes. I don't think Ethan knows what he actually believes. Matt sees as Mike, will you let me come on your show sometime so we can chat about my comic Kyrie? And can you try to convince me of believers only baptism? Believers only baptism. I mean, there's no example in the scripture of anyone being baptized who hasn't accepted Christ post John the Baptist. Now, John the Baptist's baptism was a baptism unto repentance. But Christ, the baptism of Christ, the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit, is a baptism of accepting Christ and becoming a believer. So believers only baptism. There's, try to convince me by using the Bible that anyone post John the Baptist was baptized if they weren't a believer. Epic Trilogy says accidental like tornado leaving an assembled 747 out of junkyard scrap. Yep. Oh crap. Oh, we are over the 30-minute mark. I gotta get to this topic. Again, this topic brought to you by Cold 2020. It's totally worth it. I'm such a troll. Chrome Hangout. No, not Christian Headlines. There we go. Bam. Oh, shoot. That is way down there. All right. Bing. All right. The story of Genesis in Chinese characters. This is one of the coolest things. Because my mom, oh my gosh. Boy, this is 76 slides. I hope I can get I don't know if I can get through this in that amount of time. IPA is it's beer. Someone in the 1930s Germany had this opinion about art. Well, you know what? Hitler was also really good to his dog. India Pale Ale. You know about this? It's really cool. Yeah, I did do this before, but the reason it resonates with me is I had this book. Here, I'll just click to the... okay, all right. I'm going to try to read through these really quick, and then when I get to the cover, I'll explain. Chinese language is the oldest continuous written language in the world. 4,500 years ago, drew pictures to express words or ideas. Simple pictures were combined to make more complex thoughts. This lesson is based on the traditional Chinese characters. Mouth or breath and man is older brother. It is. I don't know if you can see it. That's the tattoo I have on my back. Younger brother, older brother means brothers. Kyodai. But that's my point. These Chinese pictographs, these Chinese letters, this is the language my mother reads. So I showed her this stuff in this book, and I asked her if all this stuff was accurate, and she's like, yeah. And she's a Buddhist. She still doesn't believe, but she was reading this stuff, and she was like, yeah, that's accurate. So this is the book, Discovery of Genesis. If you guys want to look this up on Amazon, get a copy of this book. It is a good read. So your older brother is a man with a big mouth. Actually, yeah. Then give us a little extra time, Mike. All right, I'll take as long as I need to on this. We wasted enough time on the Ethan Doug drama. Excal says, yeah, not sure Ethan is a Christian. The way he uses the Lord's name in vain all of the time makes me wonder. Yeah. Yep. All right, so 2500 BC, the Chinese language was first written. 1500 BC, the first 5 books of the Bible were written. 600 BC, Buddha is born. 30 AD, death of Jesus, and today, 2080. So between 2500 to Buddhism being adopted, actually, that's not accurate. Between 2500 and Confucius, Shangdi, which means heavenly emperor. Heaven emperor. You can see it's even like a little picture of a dude with a hat, right? This is the emperor. This is heaven. So Shangdi actually means heavenly emperor, which is the Chinese name for God, the king of heaven. Right? Simple. Prior to the Shang dynasty making it illegal to worship God directly, Shang, they named themselves after God. The people of China worshipped the one true God. Booyah. I don't know why this. Why the Bible is not a Western book. Originally written in Hebrew and Greek, first writers were from Egypt and Babylon. First 5 books were written by Moses, adopted son of a king of Egypt. First 5 books focus on the beginning of the nations of Israel. First 11 chapters record the history of all nations share. The creation of man. Then Yahweh, Jehovah, God, formed man from the dust of the ground and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and the man became a living being. Dust, breathed, living. Dust, breath, alive is to talk. Okay, now you're understanding the point here. Let me just give you a picture. You leave Babel. You leave. No one speaks the same language, right? No two people can communicate. So they can start communication by pictographing, right? It's like you point to a cow and then you draw essentially a picture of a cow. You point to a tree, you draw a tree. You have, I don't know why the cross on the horizon is dust, but you somehow know that you create little pictographs to explain each individual thing so that you can have a written language that people can understand, even if you can't understand each other verbally. This but how do you get to more complex ideas like temptation or love or east, west, whatever, things that aren't as simple as drawing a mouth to mean breath or whatever. So you take the little ones and you combine the pictographs into little scenes, and that becomes the more complex imagery. The point of this is that there are the complex words like to talk that don't make sense outside of understanding the biblical narrative of the story of Genesis up until the Tower of Babel. Dust, breath, alive is to talk. What does talking have to do with dust? Right? Sure, breathing and being alive, you have to be able to breathe and be alive to talk. Right? What does dust have to do with talking? Unless you understand that man was made of the dust of the earth. And in order to talk, you have to be alive. Obviously. Right? Some of these are a little more nail on the head than others, but let's just go through some. So to talk and to walk, or walking, equals creation, or to create. To talk and walk is to create. So if you have that man made from the dust who can talk and or to talk, to walk, to create. Yeah, I don't quite understand that one. Alive, dust, and man is the first. So the first man was made alive from the dust. Right? You see what I mean? It's not all like clear as day, but it's certainly not something you could understand at all without the Genesis story. What does being first have to do with dust? I mean, you could say alive man first? No. But the first man was made alive and made from the dust of the earth. Right? We're all just dust in the wind. God plus one man plus garden equals happiness. God made man in the garden, and it was good. Happiness. How bizarre is that? What's Mike doing? Victor, I'm showing that there are words written in the oldest language on earth that only make sense to only make sense as pictographs if you understand the story of Genesis in the Bible. It is the story of Genesis written in the Chinese language. The garden. And Yahweh, Jehovah, God planted a garden in Eden, in the east, and there he put the man whom he had formed. Garden, east, man. West. What is west? The Garden of Eden. West of China. One person in a garden, in an enclosure, in a garden. One person in a garden is west. What direction is the one person in the garden from China? The creation of woman. Then Jehovah God said, "It is not good that the man should be alone. I will make him a helper and his partner." One person enclosure, west. West plus woman equals to want, to desire, necessary. Or maybe the Chinese just want, desire Western women. Mike, that square meant breath in one panel. Now it means man. This sounds sketchy. Yeah, it means the mouth. It's the mouth. It means man. It means breath. It means it means both. Because it's a mouth, essentially. But you can say it's sketchy. That's fine. Just keep going. It's like if you're just gonna pick one thing out of this whole thing and say, well, that's a little weird, but there's so much of it, right? Two people means the beginning. I guess you could say that is outside of two people is the beginning of the family or whatever, but it certainly fits the narrative. The woman and the forbidden fruit. And Jehovah God planted a garden in Eden. Out of the ground Jehovah God made to grow every tree that is pleasant to the sight and good for food, the tree of life also in the midst of the garden, and the tree of knowledge of good and evil. The tree of life, the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. And Jehovah God commanded the man, "You may freely eat of the tree of the garden, but the tree of the knowledge of good and evil you shall not eat, for in that day you eat of it you shall die." So when the woman saw that the tree was good for food, and that it was a delight to the eyes, and that the tree was to be desired to make one wise, she took of its fruit and ate. And she also gave some to her husband, who was with her, and he ate. Good for food, desired. Two trees, woman, to covet or desire. Okay, you can come up with excuses or some other story or whatever that this would make sense. But again, this is cumulative, right? Each of these things, if it was just the one thing in the Chinese language, you could look at it and go, oh, that was probably, some dude had two trees and a woman and he desired her under the trees or something like that. But it's cumulative. It's like you can't. You can ignore whatever you want. But over the course, we're on slide 43 here, so. But it fits. It fits the Genesis story, and if you were trying to communicate with other people in the time when they were creating this language, which would have been right after the Tower of Babel, the one thing they all understood prior to that happening would have been their origins. Confiscator Fan 34 says Kiwi Farms just doxed a guy for asking Ethan why he didn't ship the $1,000 art pages 3 weeks ago when he said he would. They called the guy's mom too. I have to claim absolute ignorance. I've never been to Kiwi Farms. I don't know what Kiwi Farms is. I just hear people talking about it. So, I don't know, man. The apocryphal story is that the man the Chinese believe founded China was Noah. Well, in a sense, Noah founded everything. Noah founded the world, right? Because he was the first patriarch of the post-flood age. All right. Life or motion plus secret and private plus garden man. Oh, plus man equals devil. Life, secret, private, garden, plus man equals devil. Okay, that one's a little weird to me. 2 trees plus cover plus devil equals tempter. All right. See, this is where they start to get head scratching. Like, now, how temptation is 2 trees under the cover of 2 trees. The devil under the cover of 2 trees. I mean, yeah, you can say it's like some ancient Chinese myth that, like, someone was tempted by the devil under the cover of 2 trees, and it just happens to correlate with, you know what I mean? But it's cumulative. At some point, you have to say, well, even if you don't believe this stuff, at some point you have to say, it's a little beyond coincidental. You know? Thanks, Hank Spectrum. He says, thumbs up for Mike. She took of its fruit and ate, and she also gave some to her husband who was with her, and he ate. Then the eyes of both were opened, and they knew that they were naked. And they sewed fig leaves together and made loincloths for themselves. Man plus fruit equals naked. Man plus fruit. He ate of the fruit and knew he was naked. I mean, I understand emojis and bananas and eggplants. But in what real world can you get man and fruit to mean naked? Patrick says, what would the mathematical probabilities of a language matching the biblical account of... I don't know, man. Biblical account of Genesis. I don't know. The probability is slim. I mean, and with each thing, the probability multiplies itself by the probability. So even if it was 1 out of 1,000, here's it. This man plus fruit equaling naked, matching up with the biblical account of the first mention of naked being man ate of the fruit of the knowledge. Let's give it a 1 out of 1,000. And then you add, cover over devils, 2 trees equals temptation. Yeah, let's give that 1 out of 1,000. That means that the 2 of them, the probabilities becomes 1 out of 1,000,000. The next one you come up with, if you believe any of these other ones are accurate, makes it 1 out of 1,000,000,000. The next one makes it 1 out of 1,000,000,000,000. The next one makes it 1 out of 1,000,000,000,000. At some point, you have to stop thinking, oh, yeah, that sounds like it could have happened by accident. Clothing plus fruit equals naked. Clothing plus fruit. Huh? Okay, man plus fruit equals naked, I get. Clothing plus fruit equaling naked. Am I missing something? I mean, once he was naked. Oh, he made himself clothes out of the fig tree, the fruit tree. Oh. Okay. She took of its fruit and ate. To the woman he said, I will greatly increase your pangs in childbearing. In pain you shall bring forth children. A piece, 2 trees. A piece of 2 trees equals pain. The connection between fruit and nature and seeds equals naked. In toil you shall eat of it all. The days of your life, thorns and thistles it shall bring forth for you. Pain, sorrow, toil. Ancient weeds equals sorrow. Okay, what's after a quadrillion? What's after a quadrillion? Quintillion. 1 out of a quintillion. These are your odds. Your odds with every single one of these multiplies by 1,000. Sin, death, separation from God. Hand plus lance equals me. I don't understand that one. Hand plus lance equals me. Me plus sheep equals righteousness. Well, that's the gospel, though. That would be prophetic. Unless they're talking about the sacrifice of sheep. From what I understand, from what I have read, the Shang Dynasty did do animal sacrifice. So, very much in line with the Judaic laws that were handed down by Moses. So if that was the way it was always meant to be, to pay for righteousness, then this one could be from the Shang Dynasty. Oh, shoot. Well, they were the first dynasty, so it's possible this language was created during the Shang Dynasty reign. No, I think it predated the dynasty. I don't know. That one's curious. That one is curious. The first murderer. And when they were in the field, Cain rose up against his brother Abel and killed him. And Jehovah put a mark on Cain, so that no one who came upon him would kill him. It's not the mark from Supernatural, ladies and gentlemen. Mouth plus man equals eldest son. Eldest son, shun, with an X in it, is cruel or violent. The worldwide flood. Person plus 8 plus boat equals large ship. Now, I grant you, well, actually, no, an 8-person boat is not a big boat. An 8-person boat is a relatively small boat. So, I think this is it is a very odd number to use to go from person and boat. It's a very odd number to use to mean large ship. Unless you know the story of the flood, where you had 8 people in a boat, and it was an enormously large ship. 8 united plus earth equals total. Total, meaning all. So 8 united earth. 8 united earth. I don't know why the united. I guess that would mean in all of the earth. 8 people in all the earth would be the total number. There was a time when there were 8 people in all the earth. Total plus water equals flood. The whole world was flooded. The total world was flooded. Mouth plus 8 plus water is to hand down or to continue. Ah. Okay. So, 8 people. It was the 8 people that did continue humankind. How nations and languages were divided. Come, let us go down and confuse their language there, so that they will not understand one another's speech. So the Lord scattered them abroad from there over the face of all the earth. From here, Babylonia, Sumer, Babylon. Oh, Babylon. Yeah. Babylon. Duh. From here to here. Great division in the west plus walking equals migrate. Interesting. So they migrated from the Great Division in the west. They walked from the Great Division in the west, and that was a migration. Again, any single one of these you can excuse or find some reason for. But every single one as you go makes it exponentially more and more incredulous to believe this is coincidence. Oh, that's it. Yeah, we got to the end of that. But that's not the end of the book. The book is much longer, and there's more stuff. But cool. We're done, and we have 3 minutes left. Woo. All right. So let me turn this off real quick. Christian headlines. Bing. Pow. So what do you guys think? We got 3 minutes to talk about this. Supernatural is a great show. It used to be. The last 2 or 3 seasons sucked. I actually stopped watching it like last year. Mike, you should have gone into cryptology. I think you'd have loved sitting in front of puzzles every day searching for answers. I love puzzles. I do. I mean real puzzles, not just puzzles like on a table. Those are fun too, but like trying to figure stuff out, trying to figure out how stuff works. Oh, love it. Their 8 doesn't make sense in that fashion. Explain, Jim Crotty, please. How many years ago was this, Mike? Can't we do a DNA test to see if we all have a common ancestor? They have, and we do. The DNA testing all around the world has confirmed that we all have a common ancestor. You can look that up for yourself. I know where you can download that book for free. Ever heard of Z Library? No, I have not. Anyone like my new icon? Mouth. The mark of Cain. Even with this animal sacrifice, it could only cover sin, not pay for it. That is why we needed Jesus, our Lord and Shepherd. But isn't it interesting that they used sheep? The lamb of God, right? Let's go back to that text. Which one was that? Had Eve given birth before then painlessly? Gosh, I don't think she gave birth prior to being ejected from the garden. But I think if she had not sinned, then yeah, it would have been painless. Maybe God had some sort of a spiritual epidural. Oh man, it has been 60 minutes. Time is up. Beautiful Mind was released. Were you teased at someone from that story? What? My people. I know you can. All right, so I guess we're done here. I guess we are done. I do want to thank you all for being here once again. This show brought to you by 2020 IPA. Have a cold 2020? It's totally worth it. Should I bounce out on bumper or nah? Just stop streaming. Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it. Do. all for being here. Love you guys.